I think it's good because what happened there is other people who never watch boxing or they don't know anything about boxing, they wanna watch Jake Paul because he's coming from he bring fans from other world, right? Yeah. That's good because everybody enjoy it.
Would you ever entertain that idea when you're done?
Maybe.
There are some reports now coming out that Canelo Jake Paul is a thing in May as well. Which, by the way, what a freaking year for Canelo Alvarez. Holy shit. Those are two gigantic paydays.
Canelo Alvarez has finally spoken out regarding his alleged altercation with Jake Paul. According to Julius Julianis, Canelo and Jake have reportedly agreed to fight in May. Canelo is anticipated to use the fight as a warm-up before defending his unified super middleweight championships against Terence Crawford on September 13th at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. With a record of 62-22.
A question, if it's a close fight, does it diminish the gigantic fight in September, or does it make you more interested? Because I think now, I mean, David Benavidez offered a deferring point, but I think a lot of people think Canelo is just going to be too big for Terence Crawford.
Canelo and Paul have reached an agreement, but important aspects like the weight class and number of rounds are still up in the air. Canelo is unlikely to entertain anything less than a serious fight because he has never won an exhibition. Paul versus Canelo is about to overtake the Mexican stars. Terence Crawford's September showdown with PVP sales. Crawford's fame is nothing compared to Jake Paul's enormous social media following.
He told me before his goal is to fight Canelo, so that's, you know, where his mindset's at.
It get f***ed up by Canelo. Oh, I'm sorry. It's TMZ.
Yeah, you can curse. You can curse. You can curse.
I apologize, but
no apologize about it.
There's no way he get demolished.
Which includes 20.6 million YouTube subscribers and 23.6 million Instagram followers. If it weren't for Turkey, his most recent pay-per-view fight against Israel Madrimov on August 3rd would have only brought in between 75,000 and 100,000 buys. Al-Sheikh's readiness to provide Alvarez a lot of money in exchange for a bout with Crawford isn't even worth taking into account. Fans on social media are incredulous that Canelo would degrade himself to fight YouTuber-turned-boxer Jake Paul, but the Mexican superstar stated in a recent interview with TMZ Sports that he's amenable to it if the pay is right. There is already an agreement for Jake Paul to be Canelo Alvarez's opponent in May of this year. According to a source close to the operation, Canelo Promotions MVP will co-promote the event, and PBC stated Julius Ulanis on X regarding Canelo Alvarez versus Jake Paul in May. Financially, a showdown with Jake could greatly outweigh the payout from his scheduled May fight against IBF super middleweight champion William Skull. The idea that Canelo is coasting through a retirement tour, making money from low-risk fights, and extracting every last penny from his fan base via pay-per-view would only be strengthened if he were to fight Jake Paul, who recently defeated 59-year-old Mike Tyson in Arlington, Texas on November 15th by 8 rounds and unanimous decision.
If that fight ends up being close,
yes,
a lot of people are going to watch that fight, right?
A lot, because I think a lot of people are going to want to see Jake Paul lose. And
100%.
Since losing to Dimitri Bivol on May 7th, 2022, he hasn't really put himself to the test in a high-stakes fight. There isn't any hard evidence that this fight is real, which even fans seem to believe. In the midst of the rumors, boxing commentator Wade Plens has weighed in to share his thoughts. I assumed that if this was ever going to happen, it would be years from now. However, in 3 months, while Canelo is still the current champion, he added something that dispelled the supporters' belief that the battle wasn't real. There are too many reputable journals and analysts discussing this for it to be nothing. He added something that might be a malicious bait or a bad source. But this isn't something that reporters made up, because, as Plem stated, the media wouldn't take the claim seriously if it were completely untrue. It seems that Ariel Helwani is in favor of the May fight on the February 4th episode of The Ariel Helwani Show. The seasoned MMA journalist seemed to take the report at face value, but he did not confirm its veracity and did not address the possibility.
You said that you'd like to go up against Canelo Alvarez. What gives you the fucking right to call out a 59-2 boxer, one of the greatest of all time, when you've not yet proven yourself?
I'm predicting what's going to happen 3 more years from now.
So I'm
going to get to his skill level and beat him. I have one of the greatest self-belief systems in the world, and I know what I'm capable of. And with this new team, I can give Canelo a serious fucking run for it.
That it might be a fake, or, as some have suggested, a calculated ruse. This could suggest that the rumor has some merit, and that Canelo Alvarez will compete in 2 highly anticipated fights in 2025. There are also reports that Canelo versus Jake Paul is going to happen in May, which, by the way, is going to be an incredible year for Canelo Alvarez. These are 2 enormous objects. Although a fight between Canelo Alvarez and Jake Paul might seem like pure speculation, according to Helwani, EXP reactions and new reports suggest that there may be more to it than just fantasy.
3 years ago, when I was calling out Nate Diaz and all of these big names, Anderson Silva, all of these people, and they said, you don't have the right to call them out. And then I manifested it, got the skill in the gym, got to their level and above, and then beat them. It's literally just, I'm repeating the playbook now. I'm predicting what's going to happen 3 more years from now.
So I'm
going to get to his skill level and beat him. And I have a weight advantage, a size advantage, a height advantage, a reach advantage. And he's super skilled. I just went 10 rounds. Me and Canelo can go 10 rounds. Like, come on.
You face off with Canelo today. What happens?
I would lose. But in 2 years, I have one of the greatest self-belief systems in the world. And I know what I'm capable of. And with this new team, the experience I'm getting in the ring under the lights, I believe in 2 years, I can give Canelo a serious fucking run for his.
Whether this clash actually happens is still up in the air, but for now, what do you think could happen? Although Wani didn't specifically confirm the reports, he also didn't deny them given his reputation for having many connections. Helwani didn't explicitly confirm the claims, but given his established network and track record, it's evident that he frequently has the inside word on them. It's clear that when it comes to such conjecture, he frequently says no. Few people are placing bets on Jake Paul's ability to succeed. Cinco Deo, a cruiserweight who has primarily developed his career by taking advantage of non-boxers' inexperience or lack of skill to win.
He's mentioned me before, and there'll be people out there saying, oh, Carl Froch's talking about himself, he's after a payday. Listen, I'm not after a payday. I'm doing all right. There's no problems with my finances. But I'll take the fucking payday, of course I will. And I'll end Jake Paul with one punch. I'd go in there one-armed and beat this guy. He can't box. He's absolutely fucking useless, which we saw last night with Mike Tyson. Talking about Canelo Alvarez. I've not mentioned Canelo Alvarez because it's just laughable. Jake Paul, Canelo Alvarez. Can you imagine? I mean, if Jake Paul fancies that and he jumps in the ring with him, I will pay homage to him because fair play. If he jumps in there with Canelo Alvarez, he'll get absolutely fucking destroyed and it will be fast and it will be messy and it will be bad for his health as well, potentially.
Will face Canelo Alvarez. A Paul versus Canelo matchup would be an unfair affair with little reason for the majority of viewers to spend money. The only way this fight might go past the first round is if Canelo purposefully drags Jake along, which some fans believe happened in his most recent fights against Edgar Berlanga and Jaime Munguia. They think that Canelo did this to avoid fan backlash for choosing to play these very unimpressive opponents. Although the Canelo-Paul showdown in May has not yet been confirmed, there is growing conjecture that it will happen. The current state of Canelo's career is that he is fighting opponents far below his skill level in order to avoid being outclassed by younger, more skilled fighters.
Do you have a call out in mind? Or are you kind of just going to see where it takes?
No, I mean, I do. It's Canelo. This moment will prove that I'm the face of boxing, the largest attraction. Me versus Canelo at 200 pounds for the cruiserweight championship is the biggest fight, arguably even bigger than me versus Tyson, and it makes so much sense. And, you know, Canelo's on his way out. He's going to want a payday, and I want to show the world that all the shit I've been talking about beating Canelo is actually true, and I'll have the biggest upset in the sport of boxing, and we will fight to really see who is the face. After this event, I'm going to be claiming it. I beat his gate record. I'm beating the ticket sales, all of that stuff. So I'm going to be the new money man.
Alvarez probably sees this as an opportunity to make some money and stay active before taking on the formidable Terence Crawford at 154 pounds in a September match that is sure to garner attention, but not as much as a true championship bout. Dynamic rivals. Jake's boxing career has brought him a substantial fortune. With an estimated net worth of $100 million, Adrian Adipo today owned Boxing about the Canelo Alvarez versus Jake Paul rumored fight for May. Oladipo added that if Canelo wanted to get Jake Paul out of there in about a minute, I believe he does that again. This is no discredit to Jake Paul. His massive social media presence on platforms like Instagram and YouTube allows him to make millions for each fight, whether he's facing non-boxers or legends past their prime like Mike Tyson. Jake Paul is competing against a man who is pound for pound, has only lost to Floyd Mayweather and Dimitri Bivol, and is still very much at the top of his game. I think that Jake Paul and his brother have accomplished amazing things in the boxing and entertainment industries. Oladipo stated that Jake Paul's bravery in wanting to face Canelo at this point in his career is admirable. Canelo versus Paul is about right for one round. If it continues above that, you have to believe that Canelo is carrying him. Anderson Silva is not this person. It's insane. But given the numbers they achieved on Netflix, I can picture Jake Paul going down with Netflix and asking, how can we get something like that again? But a fight between Canelo and Jake Paul has the ability to totally transform the boxing world. And Jake Paul has also implied that he will fight again in New York in July. The YouTuber turned boxer has alluded to a significant revelation about his impending bout, which will be his first since defeating Mike Tyson in the Blockbuster event last November. With rumors swirling around a number of possible bouts, including a rematch with Tommy Fury and an ambitious attempt to lure Canelo Alvarez into the ring, Paul's popularity in the ring and his ambitions are growing. If Paul fights Alvarez, it will likely serve as a warm-up for his eagerly awaited pound-for-pound fight. Numerous rumors suggest that the fight with Terence Crawford is scheduled for September in Las Vegas. Nevertheless, Paul seemed to announce his own return date on social media, posting on X that it was Saturday, July 5th, New York. It would be a bold move for the unified 168-pound champion to break with his tradition of competing during the Mexican holiday weekends in May and September.
Paul, let's have it right, guys. You know, I mean, you're talking about Jake Paul calling out granddads in Mike Tyson, and that fight, you know, you look at that where Mike Tyson could barely walk up the steps at the time, and it became evident when we was out there.
You were bloody championing it.
Yeah, that's before I got out there, Simon, and saw the state of Mike Tyson. If I'm totally honest, he weren't in the greatest of health, and he done his job, and we saw, you know, Jake.
But it is a fair argument, Spence. I know that what you're saying it has validity to it as well. But if you put Jake Paul in a ring with a bona fide all-time great, you're discrediting the sport. You're making it about something that's not competitive. This is just money. It's taking the mickey out of the fans, and it's giving Jake Paul some validity by association. That's what it's doing. And that's why people will say, come on now, that's taking boxing in the wrong direction.
Simon, you're right. It puts boxing into disrepute in many ways, if I'm totally honest, because like you say, it's sort of disrespecting the sport. Jake Paul and what he's doing and all this stuff with UFC fighters and ex-champions that are 60 plus. Great. There's a home for that. You know, Jake Paul's fans will like that. That's a different era we're talking about, a different fan base that we're talking about. Canelo going in with Jake Paul. Where does Jake Paul earn the right to box Canelo?
Oh, exactly.
Let's have it right here.
Yeah.
We're talking about a modern day great, and we're talking about a current world champion. How does Jake Paul fit into that top 10 when you're talking about Adam Azim, who's like, you know, a legitimate great world-class fighter who's not even in WBC?
Paul has hinted that his upcoming challenge will be his hardest to date by sharing a video of himself returning to training at his gym in Puerto Rico. This would ruin any matchup with the pound-for-pound great if Paul were to return on July 5th. This is because Alvarez won't be able to fight Paul in July because he has already committed to face Crawford just 2 months later in September.